Hi and welcome to another of the DTA screencasts. Today we're looking at contemporary sporting issues and the structure and funding of our sports, which is quite a complex area, so we'll get started straight away. So there are lots of different aspects that we need to have a look at. In fact, there's absolutely loads, so we're going to break it down into two sections and try and simplify it as much as possible. So we'll get rid of all that. Principally, what we need to do is identify the two different aspects of the sports development pyramid. Here, excellence, the top of the pyramid, and foundation, and obviously the two different sections in between. But we're looking at the funding and how each different one of these sections gains all the money it needs to achieve, i.e. excellence or development of foundation, mass participation. So there are three different ways this happens. The first one is through the public, and this is funded by the government, in other words your taxes, and also the National Lottery. Private, this is from business, often through sponsorship, and finally voluntary, people offering up donations or you're trying to raise money. So let's look at each one of these individually. When we're talking about funding from the government, we're talking about direct funding that goes through the Department of Culture, Media and Sports. This is the government department that hands out the money to each one of the different aspects. So for example, they hand out the money to those that deal with sporting excellence and those that deal with the foundation and the pyramid. Now in 2006, 34 million was given by the government, but then an additional 200 million was given which was in relation to the Olympics for 2012. So whenever we're talking about sporting excellence and any kind of development, we're looking at UK sports. So as you can see here, it highlights there that it's actually for the Olympics, Paralympics, Commonwealth Games, Championships, international competitions. So the absolute elite. Other elements of funding usually go to grassroots. In other words, what we're trying to do is increase the size of this base, increase the size of the foundations, moving towards eventual excellence. And this one is run through Sports England. So here we have the two main aspects that we're going to be identifying slightly later on. Private funding from businesses, often through sponsorship. Now, which end of the participation pyramid do you think this would be associated to? Well, sponsorship will usually go towards the top end, and I'm sure you can think of plenty of examples. You've got Toyota there sponsoring Jessica Ennis and the GB team, but also sponsorship will be for the lower end and the foundation aspects of the pyramid as well. So can you think of any examples for that? The one that I've come up with here is Prudential. So this large company are looking to try and increase mass participation. Obviously the benefits is that it makes their company look very good, but the outcome is that we do get hopefully more people taking part in physical activity. And the voluntary sector, this is donations and charities or private clubs. Here, what we're talking about, one of the examples of how we can achieve funding is through members' subs. And I'm sure we've all been aware of that. If we're taking part in any club, we've got to pay our subs due every year. So that's one way that they can raise cash. Another way is through fundraising. So fundraising can hit either the top or the bottom or the middle of the pyramid. So initially, for our athletes, they probably had to raise their own funding. However, once fame and success come about for our athletes, then they're probably going to gain sponsorship and kind of prize money as well. But for this lower parts of the pyramid down here, that's not going to be the case. So theirs is usually trying to potentially earn some kit, or a local company that's looking to develop their profile in the local area, and therefore give the cash to the kids, makes the company look good, but also increases mass participation for the community. And the last and quite important one of the voluntary sector is the national governing body. So every one of the sports has a national governing body, obviously, and these guys take care of sporting excellence. So if we think of an example of that, we could say the FA, a very obvious one there. So the Football Association, they take care of the top of this pyramid. But as with the other things, they also need to look at the bottom of the pyramid and how people progress forwards. So from foundations, what are they doing to try and increase grassroots and get people to progress forwards? So an example would be the FA Community Award 2013, interestingly presented by McDonald's. Okay, so that's the funding covered. What we're going to look at now are the two, the bottom and the top of the pyramid, and we're going to look at who's in charge and what they actually do to develop each one of the different areas. So we're going to start with UK sports, and this is about sporting excellence. So clearly that's for the top of the pyramid, and these are the people that we mentioned before. Sports England, as we mentioned before, their main role is about mass participation, increasing the size or the foundation of this pyramid. So, what do UK sports actually want? Quite clearly, we want sporting world success. And I think from the 2012 Olympics we can see how that was actually borne out. We had a lot of athletes that did superbly well, and they would have been directly funded and supported by UK sports. One of the ways that they can actually do that is they give funding depending on how well you're potentially going to do, and we look at this in a later session. So just for example, if you're likely to medal in the next Olympics, you would receive a large wad of cash. Let's say it's £8,000 over a 2 or 3 month period. So that would cater for transport, new kit, coaches, etc. And then if you're only likely to medal at the next but one Olympics, you may only receive 6,000, and then 4,000 if you're likely to medal in the next 8 years. Other ways that they support our elite athletes is they've developed institutes of excellence, and this is the English Institute of Sport, or the EIS. One of the places that you can go and receive excellent sports coaching advice or medical support and coaching facilities is at Bath. So that's now known as one of the institutes of sport. So looking at Sports England then, as we have here, its main role is to look at mass participation, and this is the government agency responsible for community sports in England. So what's its main aim? Its main aim is to get you, this person here, not you hopefully, off the couch. So in essence what they're saying is those people that aren't taking part in activity, they want you to take part in 30 minutes of activity per week at least. Those people that are taking in 30 minutes of activity, they're looking for you to increase it to 30 minutes 3 times a week. And last but not least, those people that are taking part in physical activity 3 times a week, they're asking you to do more. That's what its aim is. So, how is it going about achieving that? Well, the targets it's set itself need to be achieved by different programs or initiatives, and one of the main ones is places, people and play. Fundamentally what it does is try to identify areas that aren't being used and make funds available for them to be refurbished or shared with different community centres, and then give the public greater access to these places. They set up particular programs. For example, the Take Part program, which goes on at Preston Park in Hove every year. Loads of people can come along and take part in loads of different types of activities. And also they encourage volunteers and give opportunities and organise volunteers for different sporting events. Okay, so that's the end of part 1. As I said, it is quite a large section, so part 2 will be covering other government initiatives and national governing bodies. Thanks very much.